Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Circle of the Stars Druid multi-class with the Swarmkeeper Ranger in Baldur's Gate 3. This multi-class is great because they both use Wisdom for their spell casting, we can get an extra attack from the Ranger, and we can get Woodland Being from the Druid and the great spell list that comes with it. Now I'd recommend starting with the Ranger. I just find they have a pretty solid start, and if you want to get heavy armor proficiency, the Ranger Knight is a solid choice there. Otherwise, the Bounty Hunter will give enemies disadvantage on the saving throw against Ensnaring Strike. And for the Natural Explorer, it's nice to have Beast Tamer for the Raven early on in the game, but I think over the course of the game that the Wasteland Wanderer Fire is better, giving resistance to fire damage, or go with the poison damage if you prefer. Now for our ability scores, we're going to be mostly Dex, Constitution, and Wisdom. So we can roll with a stat spread of something like this, or you can shift the points from Intelligence and Strength, but 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, and 16 Wisdom, as we do have some spell casting, and also a good amount of health is required, and dexterity for ranged weapon attacks, armor class, and initiative. So we'll roll with a stat spread of that. Into level 2, we get ourselves a fighting style. This is great because this can give us a bonus to our armor class +1, or a bonus to our ranged weapon attacks +2. I think defense just works better, since if we're spell casting or melee attacking, defense will benefit us. Now we get to take some spells, and I'd recommend taking Ensnaring Strike. This will give you a ability to ensnare a target, but it does use your bonus action in concentration. That's something to keep in mind. And we want to take Hunter's Mark because there is a nice benefit from taking the Swarmkeeper, where it'll give us an additional 1d6 of damage from our swarm on this. So we'll go with that there. Gives us a nice bit of damage. Into level 3, this is when we can take our subclass, the Swarmkeeper. And there's the Praise Send, which will give us that additional 1d6 damage die. We also get Mage Hand, which can be used to throw health potions or water bottles for our team. And we get Fairy Fire. Now we got to pick a Gathered Swarm. The Legion of Bees will deal additional piercing damage and give it pushback. The Clouded Jellyfish will shock the target and also give you lightning damage, and the Flurry of Moss can blind and apply psychic damage. The blind is not actually that good. Legion of Bees is typically the best choice here, and we'll roll with that. And for our next stat or spell, I'd recommend Fog Cloud, Long Strider. Hail of Thorns is okay if you wanted it, but I think that going with something like Fog Cloud for survivability is nice, or Long Strider for that extra movement speed. So we'll roll with that there. Into level 4, this is when we get to choose a feat, and I would recommend Alert for the +5 initiative is great in honor mode, because, I mean, it's great in any mode. The extra initiative basically means we'll always be going first. I also think that an increase to our overall dexterity works well too, or to our wisdom, but I think dexterity is better, and I'll show you why when we get to combat and the gear for this. Level 5 gives us the extra attack. Great. We also get the web spell, which covers an area in a thick flammable webbing. It does require concentration, unfortunately. And we get level 2 spells. Spike Growth is available from the Druid spell list, so we're not going to select that. Silence can be a nice one. Pass Without Trace if you want to focus more on stealth. And yeah, I think Silence actually works pretty well here, so we'll go with that. And we'll roll with that there. You can also replace a spell and take both of those if you'd like. At this point, it's nice to take the favorite enemy in Natural Explorer, but I think it's best to add in the Druid at this point. And for the cantrips, we can go with Shillelagh and Thorn Whip, or Shillelagh if you prefer that pronunciation. And for the spells we'll be selecting, I like to have a healthy mix. Thunder Wave is a great one to have. Healing Word for the bonus action heal. Create or Destroy Water is always a nice one to have too. And then we can go with a Fog Cloud or a Ice Knight for the final spell. We already have Long Stretch, so we don't have to select that one twice. But if you didn't take it, that could be a good choice. Level 2, we get to choose the Circle of the Stars here, which gives us our starry form, and we got the dragon form, which gives us a bonus action attack, Dazzling Breath. So if you have this, don't use your Ensnaring Strike. All these have bonus action abilities. The Luminous Arrow from the Archer is nice too. And if you want to focus more on healing, you got the Chalice, but I think Dragon is the best. We also get the Star Map Guiding Bolts, so it gives us a free casting of Guiding Bolt, which is really nice to have. And then for our next level spell, we could take either Fog Cloud or Speak with Animals if you prefer having that there. Cure Wounds is okay, not the best. So yeah, we'll take Fog Cloud for extra hiding. And into level 3, we get access to higher level spells, so we can take things like Spike Growth here now and Hold Person. Hold Person being one of the best spells, and we want to use it actually very frequently. So I'll show you off some cool stuff in the combat. And to level 4, we get our Deep Rothe form. We're typically going to be in our starry form, so it's not a big deal. We can take Poison Spray or Resistance for our cantrip. And for the next one, again, Alert is super useful to have. You'd even go with this Spell Sniper to give yourself a free cantrip, and then take something like the Eldritch Blast cantrip there. Kind of nice to have if you want something a little extra. But Alert is good. I personally like having high dexterity because we want good ranged weapon attack rolls so that we can set up our Arcane Acuity to be able to spellcast even better and make sure that none of our shots miss. Into level 5, we get our Wild Strike, so an extra wild shape attack. If you got Mistress Spells, Tidal Wave is huge, but we're not going to use any Mistress Spells for the purpose of this video. The Call Lightning and Plant Growth are 2 other good spells. You also, if you don't want Call Lightning, you can go with Sleet Storm, because this will upset all concentrations in the area, so that's also quite nice to have. And we'll roll with something like that. Into level 6 here, we get our Cosmic Omen. So whenever you long rest, you consult the stars for Cosmic Omen of Weal or Woe, increasing or decreasing attack rolls and saving throws, and ability check for your teammates. So you can land shots more frequently or protect your team. You also get the Owlbear form, which is a nice one to have if you want the extra health that comes with it. And then for the extra prepared spell, we'll take Call Lightning there. But you can also go back to some previous ones like Moonbeam, Flame Blade if you really want to, as another option as well. And level 7, we get some pretty great spells here, and this is where we were saving our spells for. So we have Woodland Being, Minor Elemental, and then we can also unprepare one of these spells here that you find you're not using. Since we have the Woodland Being, we don't need to have Spike Growth as a concentration because they can hold the concentration for us. So then we can take the Grasping Vine, Confusion. I like to have Ice Storm as a spell too. A lot of the spells that we want are from level 3 or level 4 here. Wall of Fire being another good concentration to hold, or even Confusion. So yeah, we got a lot of great options for spells there, and we'll roll with something like this. So as mentioned, for gear, the Helmet of Arcane Acuity is massive because we use ranged weapon attacks. We can use a bow to do arrow of many targets and stack max Arcane Acuity with literally like 1 arrow. Pretty useful. On top of this, we got the Cloak Protection for better armor class. If you want to be more stealthy, if you're the Dark Urge, the Deathstalker Mantle is a great choice. And we also got the Ballast Armor. This is for evil players, but you can get it on a good line playthrough as well. This will make enemies vulnerable to piercing damage, which makes us pretty deadly at close range as well as long range. And if you don't want to go with something like that, you could use like the armor of the Landfall there, give a bonus to spell save DC, and if you're on a Plant Growth, you get additional health back and advantage in Constitution saving throws. But we also could get heavy armor proficiencies, so something like the Helldusk armor will put our armor class up really high. And what's funny is defense will actually stack twice for some reason with this set of armor, so since we took that fighting style, it puts our armor class up even higher. So armor of agility is also a good choice too. This will give us a 29 armor class. Weird, this one gives us that bonus, but this one does not. So 29 for either of these, but this will give it +2 to saving throws. This will give you the resistance of burning, and resistance to fire damage cannot be burned. But I personally think that the best choice is the Ballast Armor, although despite losing a bit of armor class, it's just going to be the most offensive. Now, we also got the Gloves of Belligerent Skies. If we have a radiant damage, we do have some Thunder too and Lightning, so this could be an option as well. We could also throw on something like the Gloves of Dexterity and dump our Dexterity if we wanted to previously. Luminous Gloves of Stack Radiating Orbs is also another option. And we could even go with the Wondrous Gloves to put our armor class up even higher, even though we don't need that Bardic Inspiration that it does give. So those are good options. The Helldusk Gloves just flat out decent choice for the increased overall fire damage, so that can be good too. And even the Gloves of Battle Mage's Power. If we use Shalala, it works there. So some options. I think the best ones would be early game, the Gloves of Belligerent Skies, and then eventually putting on the Helldusk Gloves there. And have the Evasive Shoes on, but you can also go with the Boots of Stormy Clamor to stack up further stacks of Reverberation, or the Disintegrating Nightwalkers for the extra mobility that it brings. I also have the Infernal Rapier here because it does piercing damage, which is buffed by the Ballast Armor here, and it also gives us a bonus to our spell save DC. Although, we could also throw on something else like the Fowler Alluve weapon, which is one of the best early game weapons, and then also Nirelna is not a bad choice as well because it does additional damage there. It's your choice. Shard Spirit of Evening is one of the best weapons in the game too, so that could be another good one if you want it. And you could even go with like the Sword of Life Stealing or the Sword of Chaos if you wanted to go with more of a bigger weapon, although you would want to spec around your strength there, whereas something else like this works a little different. If using Nirelna, you do want to have a strength potion active. Then you can also use the Titan String Bow, which will give you the most amount of damage possible. But as mentioned, the Infernal Rapier is a good choice. I also really like the Knife of the Undermountain King to give advantage on attack rolls against lightly or heavy obscured targets. And you can throw a Dolo or Amaris in the offhand for a weapon because this will give you additional critical hit damage, which is doubled from the Ballast Armor. So some really good choices there. Depends if you want to go more stealthy or if you're going to go more into the melee choice. Fowler Alluve just works with everything though, as it's a finesse weapon. And even Belm is a good choice because it's the finesse light weapon and it gives you an extra bonus action attack. So we do have a use for a bonus action, so that's not the perfect option. So I'm going to just go with the Knife of the Undermountain King there. And then I have the Viconia's Walking Fortress, give us better armor class. And Hellrider Longbow is nice for the +3 initiative. If you have a strength potion active, Titan String Bow is the absolute best. And then Gauntlet Mail is a good choice too, or the hand crossbows. I have the Caustic Band on here, but we do have, since we got a attack, we can use the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel here to give ourselves an extra bonus action spellcast of like Hold Person or Confusion, which is really nice to have. And then we have the Ring of Protection on, although we could add in like Crusher's Ring for increased movement speed, Caustic Band for the extra damage. If you want to use cantrips, you can get Arcane Synergy, which will add +3 from our Wisdom modifier to our damage. Not the most damage boosting option there, but it's something. And if you want to heal people, the Whispering Promise is a good choice, but I think having the Caustic Band on for extra damage is actually quite worth it when we're going to be using things like Arrow of Many Targets to stack up our Helmet of Arcane Acuity. I'm going to put the Titan String Bow on and use a Strength Potion to show the power of that, but you can also, with the Arrow of Many Targets, this can apply Guiding Bolt to multiple targets, and then the Hellrider Longbow can apply Fairy Fire to multiple targets, so those are good options as well. So in our first turn of combat here, I would recommend going ahead with setting up crowd control first. You can see we got the bees and the stars around us. This kind of funny combination of effects there. And we do have a very effective non-concentration based crowd control with Ice Storm. So I'd recommend starting off with that if possible, just since it's going to hit a huge area, hit a ton of enemies, and create a difficult terrain. Next up, we can then go for a weapon attack here. So I like to get in close if possible with a melee attack because we have the Ballast Armor there, and we're in a shade, so the Navy Thunder Mountain King gets a boost there. We also got the Legion of Bees teleport there, so we could use that if we wanted to. Unfortunately, the fire damage from our gloves does break the ice that we just set up, which is unfortunate, but we can then go with a Arrow of Many Targets to get our Arcane Acuity stacked up. So we'll go ahead there with the firing the shot off there. Don't have to react to these abilities that get set up there. And that only chained to a few people, but we got our Arcane Acuity up to +8. So that gives us a 24 for our spell casting, which is nice because then the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel triggers, and we got the Confusion spell or Hold Person spell here. And we got that boosted up. So we do have also the Dazzling Breath to use, but I think it's better to go with a Hold Person here. And if it's possible to upcast that and grab multiple targets with it, that's ideal too. So there's 3 targets, 95, 70, and 95% hit chance. So boom, we got lucky and got all 3 of them there. So pretty solid run for our first turn in combat. Unfortunately, we lost our ice surface because I did a melee attack there. And we also got our wood or our ice methods here. So they can go in, and Death Burst is actually a pretty powerful attack. You can also just use the ice breath there, or even a freezing claw, since they're going to get hit with critical hits there. So we can go ahead there, critical for that extra damage, not bad. And then we have our other one here to go harass some of these others. And I like the Death Burst because it's going to create a nice surface as well. So you can go ahead with that, explode, and make difficult terrain for the enemies, which forces them to act a little different. We also have our Wood Woad here, which is really useful because it's got the entangling grasp here that they can use. And what's great about that is then you're going to lock people down in their spots. So you can go ahead, lock them down, and then you have this difficult terrain here, which is also nice to have set up. And for even more difficult terrain, we have our Woodland Being, so then it can pop down its difficult terrain with spike growth, and then you can just deal a little extra damage with that, which is always nice. And our flying characters there don't even take damage from that. So we unfortunately got hit with command, so we lost our Hold Person, so we'll just use a Death Burst here. We can line this up with a couple more of them. We'll go for that and take that attack because we're going to explode anyways. And then move to a position where we can actually hit all, unfortunately, hit all of them. We'll try anyways and deal a little extra damage there. We lost our concentration on spike growth, so we may as well just reapply it here to go against these, deal a little extra damage, make that difficult terrain. So after getting wombo combo with a bunch of Hold Persons, which is not ideal, what we can do is we lost all of our Arcane Acuity, so we want to stack that back up. So we'll go ahead with an arrow attack there, which is going to blast around to multiple enemies there. And then we also got the Legion of Bees attack, which triggers off of that Arrow Many Targets, which is pretty nice. So we can then deal additional damage on them. And that took out the culprit that we wanted gone. Perfect. What's great about that is we can follow it up with another attack. You can just do a regular old arrow or an Arrow of Darkness if you have any type of gear that lets you see in darkness. But you can see there, that was more than enough to spread around. That extra acid damage is nice. We also, again, have a Confusion as a bonus action that we could have cast. We have the Dazzling Breath there, too, which is a great ability that comes from being a Circle of the Stars Druid. So we have lots of bonus action abilities. We got 2 attacks. We can stack up good spell save DC. While this isn't absolutely the most powerful build in Baldur's Gate 3, it's still plenty strong. Getting level 5 spells, getting good crowd control options, and the extra attack. There's a lot to enjoy with this build. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.